Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the Circling Seattle Sports podcast. This is the 150th episode of the show itself, and I think it's kind of fitting to talk to who I'm going to be talking to just because he's seen Seattle sports and a few different variations. This is the 45th installment of the Seattle interview series. I am here with, now you got to correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, Carly was saying to go by Tani,
Yeah.
Tani Tupou.
Tupou, yeah.
Tupou. Okay, good. Want to make sure I get that right. Seattle Dragons, University of Washington, Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals, Falcons. I think it was St. Louis Steamers, if I'm correct, with the AAF.
San Diego Fleet.
San Diego Fleet. Totally different team I got in my head. But you've been around the block and now with the Seattle Seawolves. So really excited to talk with you, obviously, because like I was saying before we started, seeing the Seattle sports game in so many different variations. I mean, how have you been? I know that we're kind of in the thick of the MLR season right now, got a big tilt against New England coming up. How have you been since signing with Seattle?
I've been good, been well. I'm excited to be back home in the Northwest, and excited to represent, the 206 to the fullest. And it's been really well. I think the biggest blessing is just I just get to, be home with my family. I'm, going through that whole list. I've been all over the place, played all over the country, and now with rugby, kind of all over the world, kind of, because it's a worldwide sport, so it takes places. So just blessed with the opportunity to be back home.
So just to jump now all the way back to the early years, before we get to rugby, what gets you into the sport of football? Was it a family member? Was it a coach asking you to come try out? Was it a friend telling you to come hang out with them? What gets you into the game of football in the beginning of things?
Very beginning of things, it's just, football has always just kind of been there. My dad played football. My uncles played football. And they played in Hawaii, and they were pretty good players coming up. I think my dad was an all-state football player there. Then I had older cousins that went and did it too, and so it was just something that I wanted to do. I remember when I was in 5th grade, I actually played junior football at the time for Mount Lake Terrace Trojans, and we were really good. We were like the top in our league, and so we always thought it was cool that like we were the Trojans, the top in our league, and then at the time, you had like Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and all that. But, being the Trojans top of their league, and then at 5th grade is when I made the decision to pursue. I guess I always thought that you would get like your school paid for to go play football, and then after that, the ball just kind of rolled on from there.
So with that being said, were other sports in the mix for you growing up, or did you kind of have tunnel vision when it came to football?
I actually played a bunch of sports. That's actually really funny you say that because my wife was surprised too. We've been married for like 5 years. Yeah, 5 years, 6 years. Forget. But she went to one of her. She's a teacher, so she went to one of her students' AAU basketball games this weekend. And I was like explaining to her what AAU basketball was, and she was like, "How do you know what that is?" I was like, "I play basketball." You played basketball? I was like, "Yeah, I played basketball. I did baseball, like did all the sports up until I went to high school. When I went to high school, then I really started to kind of like focus in."
No, it's nice to mention baseball. I mean, today's opening day. This is going to be recorded on opening day in Major League Baseball. The Mariners aren't starting, but it's opening day, and baseball will always have a soft spot in my heart. So then you talk about heading to high school there, which is a perfect transition. How do you reflect on your time at Archbishop Murphy? I mean, you went to a state title game, had a really solid high school career. How do you look back at your time then? Because you said, I believe in 5th grade it was, that you realized that was when the ball started rolling for you, and the whole scholarship idea came into mind. How was your time at Archbishop Murphy, and then what was your recruiting process like?
Yeah, so my time at Murphy, I loved it. I was fortunate enough to get, both the best of both worlds, right? You got the academic support side, and then also, the athletic support side. They're notorious for developing people for the next level, all around. So just my time being there, like I said, I was just blessed to be able to be in that program, and it helped me later on down the line. When I got to college, it wasn't the way we watched film at Murphy was the exact same way that we watched film in college. Our workouts, we a lot of people didn't realize this, but at Murphy we have this thing. It's still actually a thing there now called 5:55, and 5:55. That's what time the workout starts. So that's 5:55 a.m. in the morning. So, when I got to school and we had 6 a.m. workouts, it was normal. So, in that regards, like I said, just being prepared for that next level was huge. And then in terms of the recruiting process, like I said, going back to Murphy, just blessed with them. I had one of my coaches, shout out Coach Schmidt, still really close to him today. But, he helped out big time in the recruiting process in terms of getting guys where they need to go for different camps and stuff. I remember there's a few times where he drove us down to Oregon for the Nike Spark camps and stuff like that. So, overall it was a good process. I thought I was going to go to different places and just decided to just stay home and be part of the rebuild.
So you mentioned that. Can you, I guess, expand a little bit? What factors, ended having you end up in the purple and gold? Was it just the allure of staying home? I know you talked about that a little bit about, the Pacific Northwest, but was it coaching staff? Was it just the facility staying home? What led to you staying in the purple and gold?
Yeah, man, that's actually a real question. There's so much that went into it. So, man, where do I even start? So, like I said earlier, right, when I used to love USC, right? So coming up, I was like, the all about it. And it was my junior year, where I was sitting in the end zone of Husky Stadium when Sark and them beat SC.
Yep.
And I the field, and that right there kind of got to my heart. I was like, wow, this place is, special. This place is cool. And then, like I said, I thought I was going to just go on all these different trips and see these different places. But after having conversations with my parents, we just kind of just figured that it was going to be the best thing, for us to stay home. And then not only that, the energy and vibes that was coming from Coach Sark and all them, to flip the program around and be part of this rebuild, was another thing, that came into play. I think that year, my class of 2011, I was considered a blue chip recruit in the state. And so there was 5 of us, and it was myself, Danny Shelton, Bishop Sankey, Austin Severian Jenkins, and Casey Williams. And all 5 of us said we were going to stay home. So that was another thing where it was like, okay, you're staying home? Okay, I'll stay home too. You know what I mean? But yeah, just, I guess all of that, and just taking pride in our home state in the Northwest. Yeah.
I know that's been sort of a big promotional thing that the football team has been doing, right? With the whole loyal to the soil thing, trying to get, a lot of the bigger recruits to stay home. Do you want to quickly reflect on the new regime at all? Obviously, Coach DeBoer is in now after Coach Lake. A lot of preaching about having guys stay home. I know they've had a couple of commitments of transfers and such over the past few days. But do you have any thoughts on that and, potentially Coach DeBoer's tenure as he gets ready to start here?
Yeah, so I was actually down to spring ball last week, and so far so good. Seemed like a nice guy. Staff seems pretty cool. So I'm excited to see what he does, and I'm actually really excited that they're still pushing that, loyalty stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, if there's any local guys out there that are listening to this, what I mean? Like, it's cool, right? Cool to go to whatever school out there. But just like, if you're going to stay home in the Washington area, what I mean? Like, University of Washington is the place to be. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to stay within the greater Seattle area, like, everybody knows everybody. I think one of the biggest blessings about me going to school there and graduating from there, graduating and playing football, is that even like I go around certain places and people recognize, know who you are, ask you what you're doing too. I know that even though I'm transitioning from like athletics, from team to team to team, that I've always been able to find work in between that, and people looking, looking just to help out. But like, hey, I know you're not playing right now. Do you need a job? A quick job. Yeah, we can slide you in. You can come work for us for a little bit. Just because of those connections, from the university and stuff. So people love the dogs here. You know what I mean? We had an experience. Well, I had an experience. I wouldn't say myself I had an experience, but going with my rugby teammates, this is all foreign to them. And so like one of the guys on the team is from South Africa, and we were actually at over at Bell Square, and I had a U shirt on, and one of the girls at the Apple store was like, did you go to UW? I looked at her, I was like, hell yeah, go dogs. And it was like, I even got it tatted on me. And then she looked at me, she's like, yeah, that's right, go dogs. And he was like taken back. He's like, wow, you guys take so much pride in your school. I was like, do everything for the school. And I told him too, I was like, and from my perspective, like, I put my body on the line for the school. You know what I mean? So, I really truly do love University of Washington, and I hope that they can just keep on building.
Oh yeah, no, and that's definitely something, as someone who was, raised to be a dog, it's always really cool to see that wherever you go, right? And then to have guys, I mean, from my high school, now Mish Powell's there, Mishael Powell, and Race Porter just getting done. It's I mean, that adds another layer to it, but still, just seeing the purple all around is always great. It's another reason why when I saw the Seawolves signed you, I was like, hey, it's a Husky, so I,
No, definitely. Like you said, going back to that, right? So like, like I guess before, like I enjoyed USC, right, when I was playing when I was younger, but sure, now you bring back memories. When you're a kid going, to like elementary school, right? When you're in the area, I always bring this story up around like Apple Cup time. But when you're a kid going to school in the area, I went to elementary school in Bothell. Me and Michael Harvickson went to elementary school together. We went to West Hill Elementary. But during that time, right before you go to Thanksgiving break, right? That's going into Apple Cup week. And you always split at recess, right? You always go Huskies versus Cougs at recess. And, I was always on the Husky side with Mike Harvey, always imagining, out there playing for the dogs, and then host, obviously whoever won at recess, right? You're like, oh yeah, that's right, go dogs, or the other side, go Cougs. Everybody's out there wearing their Husky gear and stuff, and but yeah, just like that, the amount of pride that people take in both, not just University of Washington, but in both universities. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's huge.
Oh yeah, no, that was what you just mentioned. That was a thing for me. That was definitely a thing for me. And just like you said, whenever that rolls around, you can just kind of tell that it's going to happen. You can tell there's an aura to it. So this was one that I hadn't actually known about, and I was interested to ask you about. What did it mean for you to earn the Guy Flaherty Award, the program's oldest award given to UW's most inspirational player by a player vote? Was that something that really stuck out to you? I mean, did you think about that at all, or did that kind of catch you?
I mean, reflecting now that I reflect back on it, I'm like, oh, okay, wow, yeah, like I feel like I do deserve it. But I mean, in the moment, I was like kind of like step back, and kind of blown away. You know what I mean? Just because like I had a good, don't get me wrong, like I had a good career at UW, but it wasn't the most decorated, you know what I mean? And just to be able for my teammates to see me in that light was, you know what I mean, it's huge. You know, it meant that I was, you know, really well respected amongst my peers. And the other thing too was like some of the guys that had gotten that award too. It meant you know, a lot to me. Some of the guys that, you know, that had that award where I was like just kind of in awe, like, dude, like that's what you see, like you see me, you know what I mean, somebody like that. So, and one of them too was like I think Danny got one too, you know, the year before me. And then I think who else is on it? Daniel Taaniela, you know, RIP. He's one of those guys too. And I don't know, it's a I didn't realize how important that award is. So when I received it, I was really taken back, but you know, thankful, and my name will always be on that plaque, you know, at the university. So
you touched on those guys, some of these guys, and Danny right now, a little bit ago. What was that locker room like? Because at least looking in your first year, I mean, you see guys like Marcus Peters, Keith Price, Jermaine Kearse, Desmond Trufant, you know, obviously Danny Shelton, like you mentioned. I mean, what's it like being around some of these guys who would go on to the NFL like you did? I mean, did you kind of know that it was a special group of guys, or?
dude, so to be totally honest with you, when I was playing in Arizona, I like sat back and like thought things through. And there was like 30 of us that played in the NFL. You know what I mean? For at least a year. There's 30 of us. So the teams that we had were very special. We just never really we were just kind of like inconsistent, you know. But I mean, you saw it, right? There was times where we'd be out there looking like a national contender, and then other times we'd go out there and look like trash. You know, you never knew what team you're gonna get. And you know, I think that was just kind of a reflection of what was going on at that time. So, you know, later on down the line, when Coach Pete came in, you know, you were able to see some of those things that should have happened way before. So,
Yeah, you know, I don't know how comparable it is, but with a lot of these rosters and looking at all the different teams here in Seattle, sometimes, I mean, it doesn't matter how much talent you have on a roster if you don't have the right coach in place. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you know what I mean? But I feel like you can have all these talented guys and all these really good players, but if you're not coaching them right, it doesn't matter.
no, yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, you know, we saw it in like 2013, 2012, 2013. You know what I mean? Like, we had crazy talent. You know what I'm saying? So all across the board, like there's no doubt.
And so taking that jump from UW now to the Seahawks, how did that signing come into play for you? Did you get a phone call? Was there interest, you know, before the draft? They said, hey, we might take you in one of these rounds. How did signing with Seattle come to reality?
A lot of people don't actually realize this, but I went into Seattle as a tryout right off the bat. So the way it worked was I was actually supposed to go to Philly.
Oh.
But at the last second, Philly pulled out. They pulled out, and so everyone's rosters were full. So then I was sitting there like, all right, well, damn, no, nothing for me. And then the phone rang. And that's when Seattle was like, we're going to bring you in on a tryout. And I was like, all right, sounds good. And so I came in as a defensive lineman. They had gotten wind of things that Philly was going to try and sign me as a fullback. And so that came in as a defensive lineman. They threw the playbook at me. I picked it up because I came in at like mini camp. So I did the first like day and a half. Well, the first day at D-line, picked up the plays that they gave me, learned that little playbook that they gave to us. And then my roommate at the time, he's actually O'Day grad. What's his name? Is Cody? He's older. He went to Dartmouth.
Shoot. Okay.
I think his Cody is his first name. I forget, man. That's crazy. I can't believe I forgot his name. Dartmouth guy, but he was a fullback, and so I was learning some of the plays off of his playbook, and then they threw me in the very next day, just like out of nowhere. And it's like, oh, hey, try fullback. And then did my thing, and then afterwards they were like, dude, we're gonna sign you. Like, all right, sounds good.
Shoot, yeah, I'll try to work on that in the background. Try to see if I can find that. But I mean, so with the Philly thing, at least, you know, with that happening, do you have any like, hey, you guys pulled out on me last minute, or is it just like, hey, this is the business, I just have to deal with it?
Anyway, at first it was tough to deal with, but then I realized that it really is just the business of things. So just, you know what I mean? Like, just can't get any hard feelings. Although I'd be lying if I told you I didn't have hard feelings at that time. Just like how I had hard feelings against Seattle for the longest time for cutting me. When they cut me.
Did you so with moving with that, did you have a sort of welcome to the NFL moment? Was there something that sort of hit you like, hey, you know, I'm really here right now, I'm really doing this, you know, whether it was maybe in that Miami game or maybe in like mini camp? Was there ever a moment like that for you?
It was actually during camp, to the point that like I think it was like a welcome to the NFL like hit. Just going and blocking guys. I'm so sorry, my daughter's over here.
No, you're okay, man.
Blocking guys like Bobby and them. That was a huge thing. I am so sorry. Somebody's at my front door.
No, you're okay.
Yo. Oh, it's still open? Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, it's all good. I had another break-in in my car a couple weeks ago.
Oh, are you serious?
So moving with that, what you know, I know you talked about how you were a little bit, you might have resented your release from Seattle. What teammates or coaches from your time with the Seahawks made the biggest impact on you?
I said one of my teammates probably made the biggest impact. It's probably Silver Salinga. He's somebody who I got, you know, pretty close with while I was there. And even our wives are really good friends. You know, he was just somebody, you know, he was an undrafted guy. So just hearing his story, in terms of just, you know, going undrafted to Super Bowl champ was huge. And just learning the ropes from him of just being, you know, persistent and having perseverance through, you know what I mean, through it. And just like reassurance that, like, you know, that first cut when it happens, it's going to happen. And when it does, just don't be down and out about it. And I think the other coach from the Seahawks that really stood out to me was Travis Jones. T. Jones, man. That was my guy. So he was the defensive line coach. And he's actually part of the reason why I got set up in Atlanta.
Oh.
Him and Dan Quinn were really good friends. And, you know, when I had got cut, you know, I kind of fell into like this huge kind of like depression mode and kind of just like disappeared. I actually took off, like left the area. Like as soon as I got cut, booked the flight to Hawaii, to Maui, and booked it to Maui and stayed in Maui for like 3 months, which is like the most counterproductive thing you can do. Like you want to be like relevant. So if the team calls, like you can, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
and stuff, and I just like left. I was like, yeah, I'm over it. I was like, I don't want to see anybody, talk to anybody, nothing. And so I came back to UW and did a pro day later on that spring. And then, T. Jones saw me there and saw me do everything and then told me, he said, hey, you look good. You're still in shape. I can see that you've been working hard. So don't worry. Like, somebody will call you. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And then sure enough, I was getting ready to go to work one morning and got a call. Looked down at the Georgia number. I'm like, who's calling me at 6 a.m. from going to work? Picked it up and they're like, hey, this is so-and-so from Atlanta Falcons, one of their scouts. We're just calling to confirm your workout for tomorrow. I was like, workout? What? I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then my agent called me after and was like, yeah, we're going to Atlanta to go for a workout. So I went there and then the rest was history. And I didn't actually put the two together until I had gotten signed. And T. Jones, his nephew, I was actually on the team in Atlanta. And we got signed at the same time. And so he's the one who kind of put it all together. He didn't know the connection either. But when he asked me, he's like, oh, where were you before this? And I told him, I was in Seattle. And he goes, oh, okay. He's like, my uncle was the D-line coach there. And I was like, oh, T. Jones, your uncle? And then that's what he told me. He's like, yeah, him and DQ are best friends. And I was like, there it is.
So before I move over to the other leagues, pro football wise and the NFL stuff, I want to touch with the Dragons first. Obviously, the XFL, they're going to go into their rebranding this upcoming year. How did you reflect on that time? Because I know it was a little bit different. I remember the game that I went to, they had like in-game interviews on the sideline and they were trying to have a bunch of different rules. I mean, how do you look back on your time with the Dragons?
Dude, honestly, my time with the Dragons and even just AAF, like those leagues on that outside NFL was probably some of the best football that I played. And just because you were just having fun, I mean, everybody was getting paid, really well, really good, good money. Obviously it wasn't NFL money, but it was better than what you would make at a 9-to-5. And everybody was just out there having fun. So it was like we're back in college again, Nobody was really worried about losing their job, and having to perform that week. Everybody was still focused on the grind and trying to make it back, to the big show. So in both leagues, like, it was a bunch of fun, especially the XFL. Like XFL, encouraged like the craziness of stuff, and so like, you got guys out there just trying to build personality and not only that, like everybody knew that Vince McMahon was the owner, right? So everybody used to always joke around and be like, yo, if I'm not gonna make it in the NFL, I can go out here, be a pro wrestler. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, it was just a lot of fun. Coaches understood too what we were trying to do, and they weren't too crazy or too hard on us. So yeah, man, all around, it's a good experience.
So, with that being said, do you think the XFL will be successful when it returns this upcoming year? I know that they want to really push themselves as another pro league. They don't want to be considered like a development league for the NFL. The Rocks group that he's part of bought the league from Vince. I mean, how do you think about the XFL's rebranding when it starts back up next year?
I think they can be. I think they can be, definitely another league, out there. Them and the USFL. I mean, both. There's so many football. People don't realize that there's so many really, really good football players that just, aren't at the right place at the right time, or got hurt at the wrong time or something. So there's a lot of football to be played out there. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see what they do. Like I said, the first one that, that came around, I think it was, it's unfortunate that it happened the way it did, but I also think it was a really good thing because it showed people what worked, what didn't work. You know what I mean? So hopefully, next year, The Rock can come out and put a really good product out there in the field. And I think it's really, I think it's going to be really good in terms of just, like, serving players and stuff too, because The Rock himself, like, he's a himself. So I would anticipate him, looking out for the players. So we'll see what happens.
So to touch quickly just back on the NFL stuff, I mean, is there an organization that you look back on that you would say treated you the best, or you're not really able to pick one like that?
Yeah, the best one is Atlanta. The Falcons, man, with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is the real deal, man. I got the most respect for that guy as a coach and a human being. Yeah, man, just a really good person. Demands a lot out of you. He wants, he wants, but he does that because he wants the best for you. And he does a really good job of balancing business and being able to have fun. So, like I said, great guy, good human being, and just really enjoyed my time playing for him.
So, taking all of your pro football experience, where would you say some of your best memories playing the game of football came from? Or would you say they're kind of scattered between the different leagues?
For pro football wise?
Yeah.
Pro football wise, I say some of my best memories probably come in. It's pretty scattered. I mean, kind of all over the place. Obviously, being home here in Seattle, has a home. Has a place in my heart. A special place in my heart. Especially because I watched them win a Super Bowl. I was at the Super Bowl parade, standing out there. Jam packed in the city of Seattle. And then to be able to take the field with those guys, like, that's crazy to me, on top of, being, now Lumen, but like, I played junior football on that field. I played a junior football game on that field. I played a high school game on that field, played a collegiate game on that field. Go out there and put on, the jersey itself was huge. And then in Atlanta, just all around, just a good place to be. And then same thing with Arizona and San Diego and stuff. So just in general, just the ride of pro football itself was fun.
So now switching over to rugby, I from what I read, you got a call for a sort of tryout to come and try out rugby. What really clicked for you in rugby? Because from what I read, I know you played some D-line and even some fullback, and you're not touching the ball necessarily a bunch. And from what I read, you've been able to do that in rugby was maybe a big factor. What kind of clicked for you to say, hey, this is something that I want to do now?
Honestly, to be totally honest with you, come here. I went into rugby because it was going to be an opportunity for me to train. You know what I mean? So the way it's all worked out was I was sitting, at the spring league, trying to get back into another football league. And I didn't get a call or anything like that while I was there. These guys picked up the phone, called me, and I was sitting there like, okay, like, they called me to come play rugby. And my first thought was, dude, you're crazy. At the time, I was like, why would I come and play a brand new sport, contact sport at 28? I even told them that too. I was like, defensive lineman, I was like, this is my make it or break it year. Like, if I don't get in, I'm out. It's done. Hang the cleats up, done. Transition, go get a real job, and call it a career. And they told me, they're like, well, the position we want you to play is prop. Prop you can play to you're like 35, 36. I looked at them and I said, are you serious? And they're like, because that's why, it's like, you're young for a prop. You're just coming into your prime years. And so I thought I was scheming them. Like, oh yeah, okay, fine, I'll come try it out. With the intention of just coming in to play it. Use it as training to stay in shape and get paid to do it. And I was like, yeah, okay, we're good. I'm thinking like, little these guys know, like, all right, you guys paying me to train. As soon as a call comes in, I'm out. See you later. You know what I mean? And then obviously, that wasn't the case. Came in, did it, and just fell in love with it. You know what I'm saying? Hold on 1 second. TJ, can you go let the dog out? Go let the dog out. Go. He's ringing the bell. Go. Run. Before he parties in the house. Go. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Now you're good.
So yeah, I went over there, did it, and just started to like fall in love. And I think that was, one of the hardest things for me actually. I struggled. I shouldn't say struggled, but like I had like my own internal battles, right? Because I had just come to terms with leaving a game that I loved, right? Just came to terms with, hold on 1 second. Unlock the top, buddy.
Oh yeah. So, you talk about that, thought maybe you were scheming the whole rugby thing. How do the Seawolves come into play? I mean, was it someone finds out about you getting involved in the game, or?
So Seawolves come into play kind of like all over the place. So I don't know if you know this, but so the GM for Seattle Seawolves is Pate.
Yep.
So Pate, his job. Do you know what his job was before this? He was Russell Wilson's bodyguard.
Oh, no kidding. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Pate from the Seahawks already, right? And so there's that connection. And then the other connection was Sully and Siti, the two Fijian twins. So they played on the Seawolves last year, and they're still on team, this year too. But I grew up with them, and so they're another big rugby family, and they were playing on the team last year. And then it was kind of like telling Pate like, "Yo, Tani's in Colorado playing," you know what I mean? Like, gotta get him over here. And so there was those connections, but what kind of drove it, because I was in Colorado playing there, and then my Colorado team wanted to do more international type travel and international things, which required me to be gone for a long time. And so I was like, man, this is just not going to work for me right now. So I came home. I was like, man, okay, well, this is probably going to be like the end of my career. And I came home, and then Pate was like, yo, you want to come check us out? And I was like, sure, I'll come check you out. We'll see. Went out, checked them out, and then, just got a warm welcome from him and the team to come out and play, and the rest was history.
It's always nice talking to Pate. I remember there was the pop-up they had at Simply Seattle where they got a couple of the guys out, and he was there, and I met him there. And ever since then, every game I'm at, and I'm just sitting there on the sideline, he always makes a point to shake my hand and say hi to me. Nicest dude. I'm just like, yeah,
Great.
But what you told me about, I would have had no idea. That is one of the cooler like backstories that I've ever heard. That's really cool.
That was Russell's right hand man. Okay, that's fine. Just play your switch.
We're getting close to wrapping up here, so I'll let you get to your family here in a second. Just some sort of things with the current team. What do you think about the season to this point? Because Seattle in its first 2 seasons in MLR win the title twice. COVID season canceled it like midway through, had a tough way, and then start the year off great, 3-0. and then kind of some bumpy roads and a big tilt against New England. I mean, how do you, in your experience, right? How are things going in your mind? And I mean, at least from what I can garner, and I'm still building my rugby knowledge, right? So not there all the way, but I'm getting there. It seems like the team just has a few tweaks here and there, and it should be good to go, at least from what I understand. I mean, how do
Yeah.
you reflect on the season?
That's pretty much it. It's just, you hit it right on, right on point. There's just a few tweaks here and there, pretty much. You reflect on some of our games, and it's not, that teams really came out here and put the beat down. It really comes down to the last, so really the last couple of minutes of each match. And it's just little minor things that just need to be on point, I think what's been happening with our team in some of these tight games is, one group of players will have a day, another group of players won't have a day. I don't know, it's professional athletics, right? Everything has to be on point.
Yep.
I've only been playing rugby for a year, so I don't really know I don't really know game plans, strategy wise stuff.
Yep.
But I always put things in football perspective, right? Even when I'm thinking rugby wise, I revert back to my training. And so the best way that I look at it and think about it is the Seahawks and even the Falcons and stuff at the time. Everybody under that Pete era talks about winning all three phases of the game, right? So you want to win offense, defense, and special team. Win all three phases there. If you can win all three phases, you're going to come out with the victory, right? And so same concept coming over to rugby. We just got to get everybody on to win all the phases of the game, right? So for rugby, I think that's set piece kicking and I guess
I'm on the same page as you. That's how I look when I'm sitting there. I put it into football terms because that's what I know, right? So no, I totally get it. Just from what I can garner, it just seems like the team's just got a few. It's not like you're saying, none of these teams are coming in and putting the smackdown on. It's you're not playing the easiest teams too, because Austin's at the top of the West. LA's coming off winning the whole thing last year, and then you got New England next week. Well, in 2 days, pardon me. And they're 7-1, so at least to me, it seems like they're just a little bit off. And like you said, winning in all phases in any sport, I'm sure, is huge.
Right. Another thing too, especially, if there's any Seawolves fans out there, who are a little down and out about the season and stuff, got to remind them that, hey, the guys on the other team, they get paid too. So, you know what I mean? Don't worry too much. If you're a fan, just sit back, relax, and just let the boys, do their thing, and everybody will get on that page, right, on the same page. And once they do, that's when everything will start rolling.
And so, just to wrap up here, put a bow on things. How are you feeling? I know you kind of looked at it. How do you feel heading into this matchup against New England this Saturday? New England 7-1, top of the East. It should be a good tilt. Coming off a bye week, should maybe have worked on some things. You give a little bit of a little match forecast thing here. How do you feel about it?
I feel pretty well, pretty good. I think the boys just go out there, the game plan, and hopefully. Yeah, I say this all the time, right? So if you, somebody who's been around the block in terms of sports, I don't really say much in terms of, when I'm there at Seawolves, I'm still considered a younger player there. But same thing though, right? Is if you just do your job, if everybody can do their 115th and just do your job to the best of your ability, then the outcome will be what you want it to be, right? So that's my thing for this weekend is, for the boys that are going. I actually will not be making the trip this week out there. I had to stay home this weekend or this week from all my training. My kids actually they had a COVID case over at their daycare, so now I'm dedicated.
Oh,
I'm home
gotcha.
watching the kids. So, but yeah, as for the boys that go over there, man, best of luck to them, and just do your job to the best of your ability, and everything will fall into place. So I'm excited to see them go to battle this week, and I think the biggest thing too with this whole league, everybody, like this year, everybody's beating everybody. Like no one's safe. You know what I mean? That is so awesome. Like there's just so much more competition out there. And, on both ends, right? On both ends of the league. So I'm excited to see what happens and how everything shakes down throughout the whole league. So yeah, if you aren't a rugby fan and you're listening, go check it out. Come check out rugby and see what it's all about. I think a lot of like old school football players too would really enjoy rugby. One of the reasons why I really fell in love with the game itself was just the camaraderie and sportsmanship that comes with it, right? It's not uncommon to go out with the other team after a game. You go out and have a few beers and talk about the game, and even sit down and have a meal with them. It's crazy. That's foreign in football terms. You know what I mean? Football terms, you hate your opponent and everything about them. So, and in rugby, you hate them while you're on the pitch, but you go out afterwards with them and shake it up like nothing happened. So, I'm excited for the rest of the season. Yeah.
It is, as someone who grew up in the sports that I can relate to it most are, American football and soccer. And I can see so much of that in action, and that's how I kind of have to use it in my brain, is just see the similarities to those. And it's a lot of fun. And like you were saying, whenever I'm leaving the building and you're seeing the guys walk to, I think, the main locker room area at Starfire, you see guys totally just like nothing, like they just met up, right? Just like it's a lot of fun. And I really am. I'm loving learning the game and just being our part of it I can be,
Yeah.
So I always put the socials in the description of these things. Is there anything that you want to put out there into the world? I know that the Rugby Network puts a lot of your guys' games on their website, and I always try to watch that and put that link out there so people know where to watch you guys. I know Root Sports does that here and there. Is there anything that you want to put into the world as yourself? Anything you got going on that you'd like to promote or anything?
I actually don't, not at the moment. Working on a few things. So when that does come out,
Keep an eye out. Well, I appreciate your time. Obviously, you're a busy man, so I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Really looking forward to the rest of the season. And again, like I said, just a guy that's made all this stuff. I mean, I have my other hats here. I've got my UW hat on. I got my Seahawks hat. I got my Seawolves hat. I live for this stuff. So the Seattle sports stuff, to see a guy that has hit those stops. I don't have my Dragons hat. I got one somewhere, but it is really cool. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day.
No, I appreciate you. Like I said, I apologize for
Totally good.
being around and stuff that I had to do today.